It is coming up for 4 o'clock on Purple Friday here in Montreal. I'm in front of the Unitarian Church in Montreal, participating in Purple Friday, which is a social media campaign to raise awareness to child sex abuse. This campaign was started by a British person by the name of David Lean, and he's raising awareness to child sex abuse on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. But I thought I would participate myself by exposing Unitarian child sex abuse, also known as CSA. That's the acronym for child sex abuse. It overlaps 100% with the acronym for clergy sex abuse, and needless to say, clergy sex abuse and child sex abuse do overlap when a Unitarian Universalist minister, to say nothing of ministers and other clergy from other religions, sexually abuse children. And yes, a certain number of Unitarian Universalist ministers are in fact guilty of the sexual abuse of children. But the Unitarian Universalist religious community goes to extreme lengths to deny, ignore, and minimize the sexual abuse of children committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers, to say nothing of Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers. So, amongst other things, let's stick with the denial. By the way, denial, ignorance, and minimization form the acronym DIM. Oh, hi there. I'm back to my...
You will not leave that church in peace? You're going to
should I leave pedophiles and rapists in peace?
Leave that to God. Watch yourself. I said leave that to God. That is
well, God's not doing enough about it right now, so...
For you to do. That's up to them.
No, it's...
You're going to get in trouble with the law.
No, I already am in trouble with the law. I'm enjoying it. So, this guy comes along. I didn't video him. I've seen him before. He's actually quite a nice guy. But he's basically telling me I'm going to get into trouble with the law for talking about Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse and Unitarian Universalist child sex abuse. And in fact, I've already been in trouble with the law for talking about Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse in general, but which does include child sex abuse. And in fact, one of the other ways that Unitarian Universalists try to conceal child sex abuse is by legal bullying, by threatening me with criminal charges for blogging about Unitarian Universalist sex criminals. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? Yes, on Friday, June 1st of 2012, just over 5 years ago now, I received an email in my inbox, courtesy of Stikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors litigation lawyer Maitre Marc-André Coulombe, acting in his capacity as the Canadian attorney for the Unitarian Universalist Association. And in that cease and desist demand letter, which was attached as a PDF file to his email, which just tersely said, please refer to the attached document or something like that. These are the exact words from the, I think, final paragraph on the second page of the cease and desist demand letter. Your unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape are defamatory. And then it went on to say that they are so defamatory that they constitute the criminal act of blasphemous libel, which happens to be Section 296 of the Canadian Criminal Code, or at least was until recently. I'm not sure if Canada's anti-blasphemy law has been repealed or not, but it certainly is supposed to be on its way to being repealed. I'm just not sure if that has actually, been completed. But nonetheless, back in 2012, it was still on the books. And so, essentially, the Unitarian Universalist Association was falsely accusing me of violating Canada's blasphemy law on the, dare I say it, unfounded basis that I was making unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the Unitarian Universalist Association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. For starters, there was nothing remotely unfounded about my allegations about Unitarian Universalist ministers, to say nothing of the layperson known as Richard Buell, being guilty of committing such despicable crimes as pedophilia and or rape. Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell was charged, tried, and convicted of the forcible rape and also the unnatural rape of teenage Tibetan refugees who he had lured away from their families in India with promises of a better life in America. And Richard Buell, who was the only Unitarian Universalist who I specifically described as a pedophile rapist, because that's exactly what he was charged, tried, and convicted of the forcible rape of preteen girls, of girls who were no older than 12 years old at the times that the rapes took place, and could have been as young as 6 according to some of the estimates, but certainly somewhere between 9 and 12 years old at the time that Richard Buell forcibly raped them. That makes Richard Buell of First Parish Norwell, the former parish of Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein, also known as Peace Bang, a pedophile rapist in my books, and there's nothing remotely unfounded in my use of the term pedophile rapist to describe Richard Buell. The interesting thing, however, is that even if I actually was falsely accusing Unitarian Universalist ministers of committing such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, that would almost certainly not violate Canada's blasphemy law, as you know, the jurisprudence has pretty well defined it. The only circumstance under which I could be guilty of blaspheming against the Unitarian Universalist religious community for blogging about Unitarian Universalist pedophiles and rapists, whether truthfully or falsely, is if the Unitarian Universalist religious community held such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape to be sacred and holy to Unitarian Universalism, at least when committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers. Or perhaps I should say certain Unitarian Universalist ministers. Because that's what blasphemy is all about. Blasphemy and blasphemous libel is about attacking what is held to be sacred and holy by a religious community. So, unless the Unitarian Universalist religious community has some kind of secret doctrine that I am unaware of, which holds that such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape are sacred and holy to Unitarian Universalism, at least when they are committed by certain Unitarian Universalist ministers, I cannot possibly be guilty of blasphemous libel against the Unitarian Universalist religious community. So I just thought I would make that clear to the public and to Unitarian Universalist Association leaders and Unitarian Universalists more generally. We're just going to come over here and have another look at one of my other slogans. Oh, by the way, this is what's left of a slogan I wrote Sunday. We can see the remainders of my previous slogans in the gutter here, because Unitarian Universalists try to literally wash away their sins with water. But anyway, we're going to come over here and have another look at one of the slogans that I wrote this morning. This one is actually very general. It doesn't even specifically talk about Unitarian Universalist child sex abuse. It just talks about child sex abuse in general. And that's what David Lean and other people are trying to do on Purple Friday today, September 15th of 2017, and I am doing my part by exposing and denouncing child sex abuse within the Unitarian Universalist religious community, and also the cover-up and the denial of child sex abuse by Unitarian Universalist religious leaders and so on. So we got some children coming by. We will not let their... we won't have them in the film. But yeah, just call it a day here, I think. There's another slogan down the other end there. We're just going to have a little look at this because I find it kind of ironic. This is a banner that the Unitarian Church of Montreal has had above its entry for quite some time now. As we can see, it's purple and white and a couple other colors. And it says, live in harmony, vivre ensemble. It shows the symbols of various different religions. We have on the left Taoism, not to be confused with Buddhism, that comes later. Christianity, humanism, Islam, Sikhism, Judaism, Unitarian Universalism, atheism. Yes, apparently atheism is a religion, according to Unitarian Universalists. Then we have Buddhism. Then we have paganism. Then we have Hinduism. And then we have the cross symbol of Native American First Nations spirituality. So it's just kind of ironic that you know, Montreal Unitarians say live in harmony, and yet they're incapable of living in harmony with someone who speaks out against clergy abuse within the Unitarian Universalist religious community. In fact, I've been kicked out of the Unitarian Church of Montreal for protesting against Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse, and also anti-religious intolerance and bigotry on the part of Unitarian Universalists, which is the antithesis of living in harmony with other religions. And there's actually been a fair bit of that, but today's issue is child sex abuse, so we won't go into that too much. But I just thought I'd wrap up this video with this kind of ironic purple banner above the Unitarian Church of Montreal on Purple Friday 2015. Personally, I hope a few faces of Unitarian Universalist religious leaders turn purple when they see this video.